Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of our weekly show, Step Up to Rise Up, a show dedicated to you as you're on your way to your very best selves and your best life as a result. And I am your host, Linda Nelson. I'm a belief mindset coach, and I use strategies to help you really train your brain for success. As a transformational coach, I approach things a little differently. I am working in that gap that exists from where you are to where you want to be. And I provide strategies and resources, coaching to help you get there and get that life that you deserve, not by default, but by design. So, you all know how I feel about a brand new month. I love to lean into the new possibilities, and the old month is gone. We look back and reflect on the things that we accomplished, maybe the things that we didn't do that we set out to do, but we have a brand new month now to re examine and reassess and readjust our sails and can set new goals and new intentions for the brand new month. This month, we're going to be talking again about growth. It's all around us as we look outside. Of course, you all know the lessons that I learn in my gardens. There was an episode a couple back that we talked about all of those lessons, and we talked about how important it is, if we're going to focus on our growth, that we do some things consistently for ourselves. And one of those things that we did was talk about our morning routine and the practice of silence and journaling. Those have been, for me, the game changer in really moving my growth forward. Many of you took part and were excited about the miracle morning routine that I became acquainted with. We talked about that a couple weeks back, called SAVERS, SAVERS, and it's an acronym that stands for those things that really train your brain for success. And we're going to break those down a little bit more this month, and we're going to utilize some of those same tactics. But SAVERS quickly stands for silence for the first S. A is affirmations, telling yourself positive I am statements in the present tense as though they've happened. And then V is for visualization, where you actually visualize yourself being successful. You visualize what that designed dream life looks like. And then E is for exercise. The brain likes movement of the body, and it really stimulates the brain for clarity when you move your body. So that's E for exercise. R is for reading or podcasting. It basically is filling your mind with positive, empowering thoughts. And then, let's see, what are we on? R, and the other S is for scribing or journaling. And you all know how I feel about journaling. It has been a game changer for me. It provides a record for us to look back on and to actually see our growth. And it helps tie some things together, because God doesn't always reveal our next steps to us in a linear fashion. Like, they don't come step 1, step 2, step 3. Often they come randomly. And so journaling helps us to see patterns and to maybe make some sense of things a few weeks back that we wrote about that didn't make sense then, but moving forward into the future actually are a piece of what we're to do or to take that next step. So you all know how I feel about the comfort zone. Fear keeps us in the comfort zone, and our brains literally try to keep us safe. And so when we try new things, when we try to grow and do some goal setting or intention setting for a new month, fear often stops us. And I know if you're anything like me, you can feel aimless and stuck sometimes, like you just can't seem to get out of the rut. You feel like you make one step forward and two back. And it probably is your brain trying to keep you safe. So we've been talking about our thoughts or our inner critic, that brain that wants to revert back to old stories we tell ourselves, old ways of thinking, old patterns that emerge. And so we have to really be observers of our brain and think about what we're thinking about. And that's a lot of what Savers can do as we spend some time in silence and reflection and really set our day off on a positive note. So we're going to build on some of what we did in May and talk even more this month about a growth mindset. And is it one that's, incorporates positive thoughts, or in a fixed mindset? We're going to take a look at those things more. We're going to talk about some of those struggles, some of what our brains serve us. And we can either live in the past with those thoughts of the past, those stories of the past that keep dragging us back to old patterns that don't serve us well anymore, or we can spend time in the future. And again, that isn't bad as long as we're envisioning a future that's better than today, that's calling us higher, if you will. And if that's so, that's okay. But often the future leads us to worry. And so we bounce back and forth from the past into the future between fear and worry, where we should be focusing more on the precious present. And one of the best disciplines to keep us in the present is gratitude. It's noticing and taking note every day, being grateful for the things that we have. And so I'm going to encourage you this month to take a look at a couple of things. And I'm going to try to get you to observe thoughts that are coming up for you. I'm going to give you some questions maybe to ask yourself, to take a look at your life and think about the things you want to create, because we can live a life of default or a life of design. And living a life of design, showing up with our best selves, is what leads to a lot of fulfillment, a lot of meaning in our life, and brings us a lot of joy. So we're going to be cognizant of some of those things this month. And then we're going to talk about the struggles, the gap that exists and why it's so hard to get through that messy middle, I call that place where we have to move out of that comfort zone, that place where our brains are trying to keep us safe, but it also keeps us stuck. It also keeps us in the exact same place, and we don't make the movement toward that best self we want to encompass. And so we're going to talk about that gap a little bit too, that messy middle, as I call it, that exists between where we are and where we want to be. And it's in the gap, or that courageous zone, that we need to spend some time to get some clarity about what we really want, who we really are, what success means to us, when are we the happiest. And in the meantime, spend some time in the present, being grateful and thankful for what we have right now. So those are some of the things that we're going to talk about more this month. And so I will send you some emails to supplement those lives each week. You can either join me live at 7 a.m. Mondays, or you can catch the replay at your convenience. Either way, let me know that you're there. Comment on your ahas that you get as I share the lives, and ask any questions or share any thoughts, share anything that you do to help you remain ever present to the precious present and mindful of all the blessings that you have before you in the here and now. And then ways that you maybe cope with some of the past and how the past drags you back, and what you do to push yourself back into the present, and the things that you do to help you dream but not worry about the future. So share your thoughts. We learn from one another, and I'll pose questions throughout the week that you can think about throughout this week as we think about growth and the place that we're going to, as we define what success means to each of us and how to use our brains and tap into the power that brain has, but we have to train it. So that's what we're going to be focusing on this month of June. Thanks for joining me today, everyone. Have a wonderful day and get into the habit of silence and journaling. And this week, I encourage you to just start with gratitude. Start with writing down 3 things each day this week that you're grateful for. Because the more you find to be grateful for, the more there is to be grateful for. You will just notice more. Thanks again. We'll see you next week, and be sure to keep active in the group for more tips throughout the week. Have a beautiful week, everyone. Bye for now.